So I wanted to do another update on the pool project. I've done some videos, but I haven't posted them, so I thought I would do sort of an overall update as to where we are now. So a lot of work's been done, or really actually, I'm not going to say we're on the home stretch, but we're certainly getting close to the end. There's not that much work left in terms of, compared to what we started with. So let's take a look at the pool here real quick. Basically, the main things that we have left to do, besides tying in the plumbing, which is probably a half-a-day work, is to tile and finish this coping. And then I've decided I'm not going to refinish the plaster with roll-on plaster. There's several reasons why. I can talk about that in another video. But really where we are is I've got to do the surfacing and finish this coping and do the tile. And that's the big things before I can get water in this pool. And we're actually pretty close to getting there. So let's talk about the coping here. This part of the coping obviously is complete, we're going to stop the coping over here. Let's just walk in. Talk. So this is all complete. I think this turned out pretty well. Now, if you recall, we talked about our artificial turf, so we're gonna have sand, tamp sand down to about this level here, and then we'll have artificial turf that comes up along the edge here. So for this coping that you see here, what we're going to do is we're going to tape off the front face here. We're going to just put Gorilla Tape across the front face here, and then across the bottom here, we're going to dust this gray grout here. We're going to dust that into the cracks and sweep it off, and then we'll moisten that, and it'll harden, and you'll have a nice flat surface. So that's what we'll do about the grout there. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, there's a couple things I wanted to mention. I want to talk about how we are going to do this skimmer cover over here, because I completed this one already. And then we'll also talk about the waterfalls. The waterfalls are in, as you can see. There's a challenge with this wall, because this wall, the radiuses of this wall need to perfectly match the radiuses of the pool. That's kind of a difficult thing to do, so I've been grinding this wall to get a nice, smooth, and uniform radius all the way across, so that when we tile, we don't have wavy looking tile. So hopefully we can get that dialed in. But the waterfalls are in. These are set in. I got to plumb these. They won't take very long, obviously, but pop that cap off the back, plumb it into our main here, and get these plumbed up. And of course the valve for turning those on and off is there. We'll have an individual manual valve for each waterfall as well. So we've still got some more grinding left to do on the wall before we really get that thing dialed in nice and smooth. Talk a little bit about, we added, as you can see, in addition to the mortar bed itself, which you can see we had done this already. I added another 8 to 10 inches of basically concrete footer, if you will. It's not very thick. It's maybe 3 or 4 inches depending on where it is. Concrete footer over gravel to allow for a wider coping. So if you look at the coping there, that coping is probably about 20 inches from the edge of the pool side all the way to the back side. And that nice, wide, robust coping is really kind of what's in these days. So I wanted to be able to get that look. And so we laid a concrete footer on this side of the bond beam to be able to allow that to happen. So we got the waterfalls, we got this, and we'll talk a little bit about how we're covering the skimmers now. Let's jump out of the pool real quick. Get a little detail on the work here from the inside of the pool. If you'll kind of look at the work here, get a little detail there. How we've got a bridge over the skimmer mouth here, and then we've got rebar underneath here. This is a little bit higher than I would prefer. I might grind that down just a little bit. There's a reason why that happened, but it just happens. The rest of this, if you go back up and look, I think it's pretty linear. I think it looks really nice. I think it turned out really well. So hopefully we can continue that as we work our way around the pool. Very, very nice and level. For here, my wife decided that I was going to do coping, coping to here, and then coping to here, and then our spillover is here, so this will be tiled. She has recently changed her mind and made my life a little bit easier, I think, because she's decided that she wants this surface and that surface there to be tiled instead of have coping on it. So we'll have coping to here, tile from here to here, have a tile over the spillover here, and then tile from here to here. I think that'll be a pretty nice look. So we'll see how that works out. And then lastly, I wanted to kind of show how we did this. This was, I think, a pretty nice bit of work here. So we've cut out a little lip here on each side. We're going to take a nice piece of tile here that we've trimmed to size. Set that in there, like so. We've got a couple of pieces here that I kind of trimmed up here. Set in there. All right. And then we just lay our, we'll press the rebar into the mortar after we set it in here. But we set this rebar in here so that it just strengthens this entire throat for people to walk on it, right? So you don't have to worry that somebody's going to put their foot through the coping if they walk over this. So that's exactly what we did over there. Over there we had our rebar a little bit pushed up here, which is why you've got that one piece a little high. This is going to be a little bit easier to work with. But that's where we're at. The skimmers have turned out really nicely in terms of the height that we set them into. So we've been able to get almost the perfect height of the skimmer as we build the coping around the skimmer. So, and this one looks pretty good as well. So again, not a huge amount of work left to get the pool to the point where we can put water in it. Again, keep finishing this coping, getting the tile done, and then I've decided to paint the surface of the pool instead of the roll-on plaster product. I was going to talk about that. I might as well talk about that a little bit. We were going to do the roll-on plaster product. It was going to cost probably $2,000, $2,500 for all of the product to do the pool and the spa. The reality is, this plaster could be redone. It could be completely redone. It's 30 plus years old, and I think that if I spend $2,000 or $2,500 to put a plaster product on top of plaster that's really should be replaced, then it's a waste of money, because we really should be redoing this plaster at some point in the next few years. So what we're going to do is we're going to get another few years out of it. We're going to paint it, which is a very common thing, especially in residential and commercial pools, to paint plaster. We're going to paint the pool with acrylic. We're going to paint the spa with epoxy, because the heat can't, you don't want the heat to deal with acrylic paint. Really, we'll get another couple years out of it, and then we'll pay somebody to come in here and break out the entire plaster and put a nice plaster bed in there. So that's just not something I want to tackle at all. So we'll get another few years out of it, 2-3 years out of it with with a $300-400 in paint, rather than exactly the same number of years out of it with $2,000-$2,500 worth of plaster. So that's what we're going to do. So let's see how it turns out, and just stay tuned.